Attention gamers, I actually hate League of Legends players. Like, why is it that the worst player in every lobby has to be the one to say stuff like
play really this evening,
as if their opinion matters more than a fly's fart in a hurricane. They continue typing things as if they are my slave owner and their eternal silver hard-stuck opinion should be Bible when it comes to what the best champ for me and my playstyle would be. It's poetic how this person will undoubtedly be the one to give up first blood as their head is so far up their own ass where they think the backseater controls are located while still letting the world know how insufferably annoying they are to listen to right after. The only time I do die on my not real ADC is because I'm basing under tower and while they are freezing their lane like the dinosaur chicken nuggets they store in their mommy's fridge upstairs, guess where the f their team's mid is. I'm doing just fine down here clenching my butt cheeks together so hard they are experiencing muscle growth and soon enough my rock hard ass is abusing the fact that whoever designed Mel's kit must have been giving the head of game dev at Riot some dank break room blowies for this level of BS to be approved and added to the game. Then since I'm pettier than a zoo where you touch the animals, I find it an appropriate time to remind my mid about how negative IQ she sounded when she judged me in Champ Select. The only person who barks back is my scion who is feeding everyone around him so much that if this man spent a weekend in Africa he could probably end world hunger. Turns out my terrible not real ADC has their bot lane repping an impressive 0-11 start to the point where Vayne probably couldn't even kill a paralyzed fly, unless that fly was my top laner who is too busy not shutting the fuck up about my own pick to realize his keyboard isn't plugged in. Anyways, this obviously turns out terribly and it doesn't have to do with my feeding mid laner or the fact that this scion has managed to go 1-16 but rather it's because I, once again, did not pick a real ADC. PSA bitches, if you are like either of these players I sincerely hope you get very bad diarrhea at the worst possible time in the near future. Sincerely, Rav. Okay, so today we're talking about the hidden unspoken passive ruining the game, and that's the passive on Mel's W. The active on her W is the Reflect, aka the reason her ban rate is so high and the fact that literally no one likes to play against her, but what players don't realize is there's a passive on this ability that isn't listed in the toolkit, and if it were it would say, sometimes prevents enemy players from using important abilities on you because they are afraid of them getting reflected. Today I will literally show how I'm a washed up trash garbage loser who doesn't even use the active on W like ever in these games, but yet I find crazy amounts of success because the hidden effect of enemies holding cooldowns out of fear allows you to live in situations you otherwise never would have because you basically have disabled the kits of your enemies, which is essentially psychological torture. So if you want to see how I prove that this is the worst game design in the history of Riot by popping off in ranked games on a champ that I can't even play correctly, then please use those cooldowns on my subscribe button and let's get into it. Alright, so game 1, just to prove my point, I was literally reading my ability tool tips, and just to add to the authenticity here, my Poppy was about as useful as a mesh condom. As you can see in the first fight here, her contribution to us killing Obama's wife was basically to smack the ground where she was 5 seconds before her death and then to watch me not level up my reflect in time to use it. To be honest, we would have probably pulled this off if the sobbing bandage didn't have to come down to my lane, but while I'm dead, let me do some character introductions of the supporting cast in this one. Poppy somehow couldn't manage to do the 6/12s of a single HP point left on Pike, and then Mundo came in choking on his own slobber. The whole thing left literal cramps in my body to watch as I shivered with absolute disgust, but now we can say we've set the scene. When we get back to lane, my pigtailed midget pins the bald asshole to the wall, which is enough for me to wrap my giant swirling bind of bullshit around him before bursting him down, but of course that mommy with mommy issues wants to come cry about them again, so let's just cut to the next scene. Here I would like to direct your attention to Exhibit F, where I don't even use my reflect correctly, but I did come with a foolproof backup plan, and that was to push R. It turns out that plan worked pretty well because now that little Miss Candyland has learned how to keep Pike from scooting around like a fucking Olympic hurdle athlete, I could just rub some gold dust on him and push my win fight button every time. With more items, this started getting more extreme as a full health support would get hit by one combo and then I would just climb to the top ropes and cannonball my grubby pinky straight onto my alt key to win fights. Then with just Obama's wife left sucking off her own statue alone and popping barriers so she wouldn't die to my execute, I knew it was just a matter of time before she would underestimate the power of Riot game design in 2025. Normally when playing the carry role I have more eyes on me than a couple having an affair at a Coldplay concert, but no one wants to eat their own medicine, so I just have free reign to push all my buttons until I decide that my R key will be a double kill button in this fight, and then once a few of them leave the party it really just turns into gang mentality until the whole thing starts to look like a Quidditch match and everyone is chasing after a large diabetic snitch. As I mentioned in the intro, my cringe-worthy washed-up reflexes can't even use her reflect properly, but it really doesn't matter when my alt key bind is working and then I give a new meaning to just rip the band-aid. Turns out a dragon popped up here on everyone's Pokemon Go app and now a group of 9 virgins are all fighting over who gets it, but I didn't put my gold mascara on here to lose this one after some chode nabbed my Snorlax last week, so I make quick work of these piggies without even needing to tap my bullshit button. As I'm in the midst of announcing that my fed ass has no clue what I'm doing, we have a quick run-in with American Sam, to which I find it a great opportunity to express my opinion on how my tax dollars are spent. Anyways, we have a dog that is dressed like a jazz guitarist / certified pedophile that I hang out with for a bit just so Rift Alexa can say I'm legendary a few more times, and then Pike continues funding me like butthole pics fund a whore as I execute just about everyone and rock a wild KDA, considering my gameplay was just about as painful to watch as they come, but with champ designs like this it doesn't matter, and with that, it was time to queue up again to see if it was just luck. This one starts with me pushing up with more wards on me than brain cells, so I get visited by Nicotine Nicholas only to bust my reflect nut prematurely, which puts its passive on cooldown, but luckily my support is the GOAT, literally, and we live to tell the story of how some chick shackled to a headboard came down for the counter gank. I wanted to put Graves in a grave, but unsurprisingly the only one that let us fuck him was the guy rocking the porn stash. They all fled the crime scene, but I knew this Tacoma FD toddler would underestimate just how bullshit my execute power is this early into the game, and with that I was off to a good lead. Turns out a wild party was being thrown in the jungle that I didn't get invited to because everyone just wanted to let loose there, and they can't if the threat of my W is around. But when I heard they were all at the famous Red Buff Bash without me, I decided to camp one of the exits where the drunk losers will be stumbling off at the end of the night, which made me feel slightly better. We got first tower easy as shit, and then I would just wait for this firefighting theater to push up before sneaking in through the back door and tying her up before letting her look at her own failures in the reflection of my bullshit. Turns out there's a scheduled circle jerk in front of the Godzilla crab, and Pornhub Pablo is coming in hot, so I tell him to cool those jets a bit before jumping in. Turns out my team can't hang because Tentacle Tina is more well-fed than a WoW character who just ate for 10 seconds, and I need to do some reflection about the uses of my reflection apparently. With all that said, my execute bails out my bad gameplay and I end up sniping down 2 before Dirty Diana shuts me down. That said, an underrated part of this pathetically over-designed kit is her E. It's like a wider Morgana Q Nico E Zyra route that burns like genital warts with a bonus execute effect, which is great for both catching and killing. Team fights are bound to break out because this is incredibly high elo where everyone knows to focus objectives obviously, and I know from my days of playing a useless marksman that if I play these like a grade A pussy I will have more success, so I hang out on the outskirts like I'm playing the second mission in the Halo 2 campaign. But keep in mind Fiona from Shrek is fed as fuck, so I have to politely decline her offer to pull my soul out and rage doll piss all over it, which shuts her down. Then it's just a manhunt for the midget who robbed the local fire department's locker room, and just when it looks like the little shit is gonna get away, she ruins my backstory that this is high elo by jumping back into the danger she just escaped, which gives me the unofficial quadra kill. At this point I'm 12 and 1, thinking back to the early days of League of Legends where if you were this fed you were just an Elden Ring raid boss that would walk around with your dick out and misplay all you wanted because you were 1v9 all damn day. But the game has changed since then. I'm still 2 levels behind this Mud Hut clan convict, and unfortunately you can't just slop around like a moron and get away with it anymore. Anyways, more team fights are breaking out, which is looking good for my team until all of a sudden there's more tentacles than an octopus orgy and half my co-workers get deceased. I turn Cigar Sammy into a piece of dead bitch by pushing my win fight button before getting the hell away from the bitch that sunk all those ships in Pirates of the Caribbean. Side note, this looked like an intimate conversation between 2 people, which in my opinion is the perfect opportunity to use Rift Alexa's intercom system to make it seem like I was actually there the entire time and contributed. We wanted to use this advantage to jerk off the large river worm up north, but I knew it was gonna be shaky wakey, so I just kind of pushed all my buttons at once, hoping I would reflect something important before tying up 3 of them and doing as much damage as I could before inevitably being taken to tentacle hentai land right in the middle, where no mere mortal survives more than a single whack. But it was enough for the boys in blue to come out on top. So with that, we kind of just marched down mid. As you can see, I had an impressive KDA that not at all hinted at how absolutely piss-awful poorly I played this champ, but it just goes to show that her kit and the hidden passives that make your enemies not play to their full potential really opens doors for shit-ass players like myself to do way better than they otherwise would, and thus, that's the hidden passive that's setting the path of game design that will piss players off and run this game into the ground. Rav out.